Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dope Talk. Today, I'm sitting with a very special guest.
Hello.
Oh, she wasn't supposed to say that, but the beautiful, the intelligent, from Honolulu, where it's hot at, Jillian.
Hello.
Jillian, nice to meet you.
Hi,
Well,
nice
not to meet
meet
you.
you guys.
Actually, it's the second time we met.
Yes,
right?
yes, we met by chance actually this weekend. So.
And from Honolulu, New
Yes.
York, Shanghai. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and your story?
Yeah. So I come from a multicultural family. I'm born and raised in Hawaii, and my parents are from Southeast Asia. My dad's from Thailand, and my mom's from Singapore, and they met in Hawaii, and that's where I was born and raised. So basically, during that time, I spent my whole childhood on an island, and I kind of got something like island fever. I don't know
What's
how.
island fever?
Island fever is like when you feel like you're trapped in a surrounded by water, so like you just want to leave because you feel like you're stuck somewhere.
Okay, I understand. I got
Yeah.
that.
I don't know in New York if you have a term.
Well, New York is, well, Manhattan is an island, so
Yeah.
you can get that. It is possible, but
Different.
yeah. So we actually met at the female entrepreneurship and a female entrepreneurship event,
Yeah.
right? My question is, do you see us? Do you see yourself as a female or woman in business?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're going to start your business, like even if you're doing side gigs or you're starting out, you have to take your business really seriously and model it so that you can kind of grow and make sure that the processes are kind of set up when you're beginning to start.
Yeah, maybe that was my bad. I don't think I phrased the question
Yeah.
still correctly. For example, like I'm black, obviously, right? So some people may consider me like a minority in business or a black man in business, But I consider myself a businessman. The
Yeah,
sweat
of
dripping
course.
down, right? So like, that's how I'm asking you. I've asked a few other females as well. Like, do you consider yourself a female in business first, or you just a woman or a businesswoman? How do you like frame yourself?
That's a good question. I mean, I always see myself as just, I have my own kind of goals. And of course, there's different identities that I have. But for this one, like in business, definitely I see myself like as a businesswoman in that sense. I mean, I won't say that's my dominant identity. I just see it as a collective because when you have a kind of a mixed background, you adjust really fast to something like the concept of identity and not having to just like put yourself in a little box. And you are what you are, and you just go with it.
And I've actually
Yeah.
spoke to a few women just before. I don't know if you met Sophie. She was one of the ladies at the event.
No, I don't
Sophie.
think I had the chance.
And she invited me to another event before. Like I did some videos for people, and
Yeah.
and I got to talk to some like amazing. I interviewed some amazing women, and after the interviews, off camera, we was talking about like. I asked the same question to this lady. I was like, "Do you see yourself as a woman in business?" She's like, "No, I'm just a business person, and this, that, and third. I don't really see myself as a woman. I don't see myself as a woman in business." And some other lady interrupted and said, "No, that's not the case. We do get treated differently. There are things that we have to go through that men don't go through. So as a man, and maybe some men watching, what are some of the things that women have to go through that maybe men don't know about as a woman in business?"
That's a really valid question. I think that we get asked that question a lot, and that's why it's kind of in the media very much. Like we have Lean In and these kind of groups that kind of are established due to the gap in gender in business. And often it's the way that we're perceived. I do feel that sometimes. I mean, it is something that it cannot be ignored. Like if I were to give some information or try to present myself at a meeting, I have to be careful and not come across as what people would call aggressive. So I would have to soften the way in certain business settings, and it's also cultural. So if I'm working in a US like environment and I'm talking to some people about proposal, it might be different when I am talking with a multicultural office environment in China. So then the way that I would present myself would be adjusted to the person that I'm speaking with.
What is it? What is
Yeah.
the difference between the U.S. environment or the Chinese situation?
Yeah, that's a really good question too, because the way that I think that's more of an issue of intercultural communication and the way that you want to express yourself and the way the other person is trying to speak to you. So in the US, we tend to be very direct. And in China, sometimes there are many things that when you might say something, there might be a reason why it's not a direct answer related to saving face or like some kind of other issue.
Oh, so some people, yeah, I understand. So
Yeah,
people are a bit
yeah.
indirect sometimes, or they might,
Yeah.
or they may say something, but not, they might not give you the full background. Is that, I don't know, is that, did I get that correctly? Or?
It's not really the full background. I just think it's just like maybe if you're in a deal or you're talking with someone, they might be saying something, or they might say, "Oh yeah, like I want to, pick you up from the airport," but they actually don't want to do that. So it's just the way that people would just say things to be polite versus actually meaning it. And in the U.S., maybe we'd just be a little bit more frank, and we're used to just like directly saying something.
Question: how were you
Yeah.
as a student?
Yeah.
How were you as a student?
Like I guess pretty studious actually as a
Right.
nerd. What about you?
Yeah.
Same?
Yeah. No. No. Oh wow! I act like it was so long ago, but like,
Yeah.
I'm on camera now. I don't know how I'm gonna say this. I was a good student, and then I kind of fell off. No, because the reason, right, is because a lot of people kind of disparage, university now and say it's unnecessary, things of that nature.
Yeah.
You had a long career in marketing, so
Yeah.
how have some of the things? What was your degree in actually?
It was in liberal arts actually.
Whoa.
I didn't plan to get into marketing. It's just a skill that I kind of always intuitively had in communication. So writing was always my forte, and that's kind of where it started out. Yeah.
So what were some of the things that you learned in I'm trying to give a
Yeah.
good rap for university here, because I always most of the time I
yeah.
talk about like university is like we don't really need it, and wrote of entrepreneurship, things of that nature. I'm trying to give a good rap for it. So what are some of the things that you learned in university that was useful in your career?
Oh gosh, my university environment is kind of a little different from a typical American because I went to a liberal arts college in Massachusetts and it was all women. So we're on the topic of gender. It was very interesting to go from a kind of a laid back co-ed school in Hawaii to a liberal arts East Coast school with only women, and then there were a lot of concepts on the East Coast about like a lot of issues like political or like these kind of many different things that maybe I wasn't exposed to where I was from. So being able to understand it, I had a culture shock going across the U.S. It felt like I was going to another country, sort of like it was a very different environment.
So did that
Yeah.
uncomfortability
Yes.
did that shape you in your career? Like, so what's some of the elements that you took from that kind of helped you out in your career?
Well, it helped me kind of identify myself really well, which is like not really having a fixed identity or saying what I am, because my background is so mixed that I don't bother sometimes when I meet people to kind of explain. I just kind of just don't really talk about that very much. I just, easily adjust or myself. So I don't really talk about like I am a Hawaiian or I am from I went to women's college. I don't really emphasize any of those. Yeah.
I went to all boys high school.
Yeah.
Just for a year in Japan. To anyone who didn't go to an all boys or unisex school, I guess I don't know. Like, what's the feeling? I mean, I don't know. Like, did you choose to go to the unisex school?
Yeah,
Whoa.
absolutely. I wanted to go there because I chose the curriculum. I knew exactly what I wanted to go to, and I wanted to have a certain environment where I was able to take all the courses that I wanted to, and I wanted to be out of Hawaii for a bit just to see what it would be like. And actually, that kind of left me to China because we had a requirement there that made me take Chinese. And so like the European languages were 4 credits, and then Chinese and Japanese were 6 credits. So I was like, well, it makes more sense to just take Chinese and get 6 credits. So that's 2 credits every semester, and I can graduate early. So that's what I did. And that's how I ended up here.
All right, so you ended up in China. How long have you been in China for?
For about 4.5 years.
4.5.
Yeah.
And so you studied Mandarin in university.
Yeah. So then I had a study abroad program, and I just like ended up in Shanghai Actually, my study abroad program was 6 months, and I wanted to graduate early, so I made the mistake of not doing a full year. And
Why was that a mistake?
because I wanted to be abroad longer. And I just wanted to finish school faster because American education is really expensive.
Ah, word.
So I thought it'd be more practical to just finish early. And that kind of like really, when I had the chance to, then, I graduated early. But actually, it was better. I mean, I wanted to make up for it. So after living in New York for a while, I decided to move back. Actually, Shanghai is where I got my first magazine gig when I was starting out. So I worked for an expat magazine writing articles.
But you said you worked. What were some of the companies that you worked with in New York?
Yeah, I was working at Condé Nast, so all the magazines there. I started as a assistant beauty editor. So
As a what editor?
Assistant beauty editor.
Okay.
So basically, I was the girl that, if you see in the movies, they have like all those like makeup and perfume, like Devil Wears Prada, but not really. It's just like I'm stuck in a closet with like a bunch of makeup, and I have to like find a trend or sort all the press releases and understand what's going on in the industry, and that changes really quickly.
Well, that's really dope. How long have you been in the industry for, in that environment?
The whole time in New York, I was completely in editorial. Actually, during that time, I also moved because of the opportunities within the magazine industry. There were opportunities on the business side, and that's where I got my first start in marketing, working for events at Vogue, or like working with the sales teams, and then understanding how the magazine part of the business worked. And I was thinking to myself, well, I could kind of use some of my skills, and I transitioned out to copywriting.
So
Yeah.
now in the day and age, we're all
Yeah.
going social.
Yes.
Sorry, not social, digital.
Yes.
And so, how important is a magazine in this day and age?
Well, there are a lot of things. It is important because what the editors know intuitively are what is really important for content. Like, for example, when people are writing articles for blog posts to get the most clickable blog post, you have to there are like certain techniques that are very common, like putting certain numbers. That's very common when a listicle. That's what it's called, a listicle. So like when you have these
Like top 10, top 7.
top 10, these numbers have always sold copies in the stores. So even though print is like, maybe the sales are not like generating as much income as a digital product, the concept that you use for editorial, when it's transferred into blog or even a video, these kind of things, how to do something, these kinds of content, that doesn't change. It's a classic thing. And there are different ways to kind of test it. I mean, for magazine editors, it was always like knowing that that's what the people would buy from the stands. And then now we have metrics and data to be able to track that. Yeah.
So, because I'm not familiar with magazines, I'm not sure if people have gone into detail with that. So, what are some of the things that being in a magazine provides that you don't get on digital?
Well, to be really honest, I think it really goes into background. So, a traditional journalism. I never went to journalism school, but a journalist would go into great detail about checking facts or doing like in-depth research. Nowadays, if we go on Facebook, or we just kind of scroll through a feed, and we'll see an article, and the article might say something really sensational. And then you check the source, and then you're like, a lot of people maybe don't have the time to check that, or you're going so fast when you're scrolling down that you don't think, maybe this source is not really legit. It's like, because where is the information coming from? Is it something that you really want to believe, or are you going to take the time to research? Because we have so much information that we've forgotten how to actually find or conceptualize the information that we're given to consume and come up with our own opinion. And I think that's one thing that in journalism that they do a lot more in detail. Your magazine, you have to check for the facts to be correct. You have to do a background check. You have to make sure that what you're saying is accurate. You have data to back up a certain thing that you're saying. Like, you can't just write something and publish it immediately.
So there are such thing as fake news. What is this? Oh my goodness, it's crazy. It is, and wow, that tells you how good of a student I was. Anyway, so someone coming from, I'm from New York.
Yes.
I know the difference between working in New York and Shanghai.
Yeah, definitely.
What about someone from the Western? What do you think is the difference between working in New York and a city like Shanghai?
Oh, I think Shanghai doesn't really represent like the rest of China, actually. Do you agree? I think it's its own unique entity.
Well, this is like really China right now, like
With the music.
This
I mean,
music.
that was a sign, right?
Right.
It's like,
like that. Well, I'm trying to let the music pass by. Perfect, music pass by. Sorry about that. So
yeah.
yeah. So you asked me if I think Shanghai is a good representative of China. Of course not. I always say Shanghai. Like I never really say I'm in China. I always say
Yeah.
Shanghai. It's not.
It's like how we say the city in New York,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I always call this. I always consider this like place like the city
Yeah.
or Shanghai. But so what is the difference? Between working in Shanghai and New York. As an entrepreneur.
I think it's depending on how you're able to present yourself. It's a lot easier to break in, especially for people that are in the creative industry, or if you have an idea, it's easy to just put it out there and move very quickly and meet the people that can kind of connect the dots. And sometimes if you fail, like people don't care as much here. It's just like you just move on. Like they'll just say, "Oh, good for trying," and then you continue on. And I find the community actually quite supportive here. So I think that it's less like in New York, you meet like 5 different photographers in one cafe, or in Shanghai, then there are not as many, or they're they're different in some way. And I think that it just becomes an environment where you can set yourself up in a very unique kind of situation. And it's so diverse.
I took one word from that, and
Yeah.
it's speed.
Yeah.
For example, we met on Saturday.
Yeah.
Today's Tuesday.
Yeah, well, it goes by really quickly. Actually, for marketing, it's the same too. When you're running a campaign or anything like that, a lot of people, I guess it's really different from running a campaign in the U.S. or Europe. Understanding the market and understanding the speed that China is going, both online and offline. Like a building can be built in 3 months. What about a mobile app? These are the things that, if you're not updated.
Is that helpful or harmful? Do you view that as helpful or harmful?
It can be helpful if you're smart about it, and you always, as a marketer, you have to just be on top of what's new all the time. And it can be harmful if you don't design your business to adjust. The most important thing that you need in running a business here, especially when you're starting out, is the flexibility. Because there are many different factors that can affect your business overnight. Yeah.
So what does it take to be recognized in this day and age?
Yeah. You mean in China or in general?
What are some of the fundamental values that it takes to be recognized?
That's a really good question. I don't think I could say there is a defining thing. Yeah.
So no, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, just shit. No, it's all good because I don't know, just because I want to get your insight on this. I truly believe, because I've sat, man, a lot of people have sat in this chair.
Yeah, this is a very special chair.
It's actually kind of broke.
It has good vibes.
And I kind of get the sense there's some key things that kind of works globally, And one of the key things I've learned is authenticity.
Yes.
Like if you can be authentic about who you are, that works, whether in Israel or you're in like South Africa. Is there anything that you picked up on in your years, of marketing that it just works worldwide? Yeah,
I mean, it's just like when you're promoting a brand. I mean, if you're promoting yourself, everyone has a different kind of thing that they want to share. So there's a certain story that makes you unique. There's no point in duplicating what someone else has, because you are able to provide a perspective or a background that is different from another person. And being able to understand the unique element in a combination with what people are interested in learning more about is actually what can leverage, like if you're starting a blog or videos on YouTube or things like that. Yeah.
Yo, like this conversation, I can talk to you like for days.
Yeah.
But I understand you have a Skype interview at 10. You're a businesswoman. So I'm gonna give you some speed round questions.
Okay,
all right?
Sure.
You ready for this?
No.
Well, okay, we'll take a break. Commercial break. No, I'm playing with it. Rich or famous?
Famous.
If you can, all right. I actually wrote this one down because I remember. Oh, talent or hard work?
Hard work.
Hard work. Okay, I'm gonna read this one because I remember it. All right. The one thing you did at 17 years old that you wish you can do now. The one thing you did at 17 years old that you wish you could do now.
Changed the way I was investing. I started investing.
You started investing when you were 17?
Yeah.
I wish I was your friend. Damn, bro. What was you investing in?
I was just starting out. Like I was investing in, I was reading books on like IRAs and all that stuff. Like I was just kind of.
And you don't do that now?
Not in the same way now. I think it's changed. I think the way that things are now in this day and age is different.
So I have one final question I like to ask my guests.
Sure.
You ready for this?
Yes.
Look into that camera right there, right? Shanghai in one word.
Colorful.
Thank you so much. Jillian, this interview was like really dope. I'm not just saying that because it's right here, but like I wish we can go on for longer. And it's amazing.
It's really
ElephantDigital is where we can find your platform at. Can you just speak, before we exit this video, can you just speak about what you've created?
Yeah, so ElephantDigital is a way of connecting people that are based in Asia when they're starting out a business. And what I do is offer marketing solutions for people that are starting out. And I have a team of people that are able to help. So I provide the marketing, and then I work with my partners. They provide legal and business. And together, it's a solution when you're by yourself or you're starting out, you feel that there's a lot of obstacles. And the reason why I chose the word elephant is because in Asia, it's a symbol of luck. And it's a way of being able to have the insight to overcome the obstacles to make your business successful.
Oh, thank you. That was very well said, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. If you haven't already subscribed to this video, I'm going to leave the link in below so you can check out her website. Thank you so much for watching your video, and I'll see you guys next one. Peace and love.
Bye.
That was really good.
Really?
That was really good.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yo, that was really cool.
Oh.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Thank you for having me. I had so much more to say.
Yeah, I know, but I know you have to go soon.
No, it's okay. I would totally.
Yeah.